Welcome to Tequila and Terror, a paranormal and true crime podcast where we will drink tequila and tell terrible tales. My name is Keisha, and I will be telling the paranormal stories, and Wes will cover true crime. But he doesn't matter today, because this is all about me.
Well, this is our second episode, and if anybody listened to the first episode, I'm sorry. I forgot all kinds of stuff.
And I'm just sorry for you having to hear our voices.
It's really, I don't know the word for, is it cringy? Is that
cringy.
It? When we hear
awful.
Our own voices?
So I apologize to any of you, but you're stuck with us. So
And I forgot all the things I was supposed to say at that last episode. I just ended it with bye. I'm pretty sure that's not how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah, we're working on this. It's a work in progress, y'all. Sorry about that.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
And neither was this podcast. All right. Today we're going to discuss one of Wes's favorites,
Ooh.
the Bell Witch.
Ah, nice.
In the 1800s, John Bell moved his family to a 320-acre farm in Tennessee near the Red River from North Carolina. In 1817, John Bell saw an apparition of a strange creature resembling a dog with a rabbit head and shot at the animal, and it disappeared.
So did he kill the ghost? Is that possible?
No.
Why did you even shoot at it?
Because it's an animal. I mean, if you live on a farm and you see an animal that you don't want on your farm, you just shoot at it, right?
I guess that would be really big rabbit legs.
Maybe he thought it was a wolf.
True.
He didn't want it to attack his animals.
Maybe John was just drinking as much as we are.
I doubt that. He was a good Christian fella.
True.
Soon the Bell family started to hear knocking along the door and the walls of their house. They also began to hear what sounded like a mouse or a rat gnawing on the bed, chains being dragged across the wooden floors, and invisible dogs fighting in the middle of the night. Eventually, John Bell started experiencing paralysis of the mouth.
So is it possible John Bell tried the mushrooms on his farm?
I'm sure he probably didn't.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like he probably wasn't an avid drug user.
We'll go with that just for the sake of the story.
Okay. The phenomena grew in strength. Sheets were pulled off of the beds while the kids were sleeping. It started pulling hair and scratching the kids, especially the daughter Betsy, who was slapped, pinched, and stuck with pins. The Bells didn't really tell anybody about this for a while because I thought everybody was going to think that they were crazy.
They are.
Which is valid. But finally they broke their silence about the events and turned to their friend and neighbor, James Johnston. They invited James and his wife to stay the night in the home. And that night they experienced the same exact sounds that John and his family had. And in the morning, Mr. Johnston described it as a spirit, just like in the Bible.
The Bible talks about spirits?
We need to get you back in church, Wes.
Amen.
Amen, brother. Word of the haunting soon spread.
I guess, yeah, never mind, because Jesus was a spirit, wasn't he?
The Holy Spirit was.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yep. Okay. That's true.
Word of the haunting soon spread, and people began to travel to the farm to experience the haunting for themselves.
I would go. Wait, we did.
We did go.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Yeah.
We'll discuss that.
Yeah.
Word spread to Nashville, where then Major General Andrew Jackson,
future president,
Andrew Jackson, took interest in the tale. In 1819, Jackson tried to visit the farm, and he brought several men, horses, and a wagon. And included in this group of men was a self-proclaimed witch tamer.
I mean, it makes me think if that future president's going to come check this out, something's probably going on.
Well, actually, John Bell's eldest sons fought under General Jackson in the Battle of New Orleans.
Whoa, I did not know that.
And so they kind of knew him. It It wasn't like they were best friends or anything, but
it's like, hey, buddy, I
he
sent
heard
a
of it and he
pigeon
was like,
to you.
oh, hey, what's
Yeah.
up? I need to hear about this.
Hey,
This is
Andy, we got
crazy."
this ghost. Come check it out.
Yeah. I mean, if anyone said that to me, I'm down. So they approached the farm. The wagon stopped and the horses could not pull it. After trying for several minutes to get the horses to move, Jackson screamed, "By the eternal, boys, that must be the Bell Witch."
Oh.
Then a disembodied female voice told them that they could proceed and that she would see them later that evening.
What?
Yeah. So there's not really many accounts of what happened later in the evening. From everything that I could find, it seems like they just kind of left the next morning and there's not really any more.
So they just got the
About
hell
it.
out of there.
They were like, not having it.
Yeah. We're
Going back to
we're kinda
Nashville.
done with this.
Okay, bye.
I bet Ernest Tubbs record shop was downtown Nashville when Andrew Jackson was there.
I don't know.
Probably.
We're just gonna go ahead and we'll go with your okay. Oh goodness. Okay. So I lost my spot and I apologize.
They went back to Jackson.
Yeah. So after that whole situation happened, the apparition began to speak out loud.
Wow.
When asked, "Who are you? And what do you want?" the voice responded, "I am a spirit. I once was very happy, but have been disturbed." It gave various explanations as to why it appeared, tying its origin with the disturbance of a Native American burial ground located on the property, which sent Drew Bell and his friend Bennett Porter on an unproductive search for buried treasure. So they basically didn't find anything. She was just like, "Hey, you should probably go look here."
But they found bare remains?
They didn't find anything. She claimed that it was, like, in regards to this burial ground. Anyways, one time, the spirit repeated 2 sermons, word for word, from 2 churches in the area, 13 miles apart. The sermons were given at the exact same time, which means that nobody could have been at, like, you couldn't have been at both services to fake that.
But how do they know that?
Hey, I'm just telling you, the lady at the place told us.
Pretty skeptic, though, that lady.
Hey,
I mean, it was good, but...
it was good stuff, y'all. The spirit seemed to enjoy religious arguments. She seemed to know quite a bit about religion. And she also liked to share gossip about activities in other people's households.
Really?
She was super, super gossipy,
What
typical
a
woman.
witch.
What a witch.
So she gossiped just like an old woman.
Just like me. James Johnston's son, you know, the neighbor, James Johnston, his son James came up with a test for the witch, asking the entity what his Dutch grandmother in North Carolina would say to the slaves if she thought that they did something wrong, which is something that no one outside of his family would have known. The witch replied with, "Hut, tut, what has happened now?" in a similar accent to his grandmother's.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
I think it's cool.
Huh.
I mean, it's all, you know, based on what they have to say about it, but I think it's a cool little story there. Also, it's stated that an Englishman visited and offered to investigate the property, and when he mentioned his family...
Crocky, you got a witch, I see.
What?
Crocky, you got a witch.
Oh, Lord Jesus. When he offered to investigate, he mentioned his family overseas, and the witch began to mimic his English parents. In the early morning, which I'm sure was like 3 a.m., so it's the middle, you know,
They just woke up to play the film.
middle of the night for us. The witch spoke to him and woke him with voices of his parents, worried that they had heard his voice as well. So in the morning, he got up, wrote a note apologizing for not believing about the witch, and explaining that the witch had visited his family and him in the night.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was exciting.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's also believed by some that the spirit haunting the Bell family was that of Kate Batts, which I think you're aware of, the neighbor of the Bells, who believed that John treated her unfairly in a land deal and wanted to curse him.
Ew.
Which makes sense. I mean, that's what you do in those times. You curse people, right? By 1820, John Bell had been experiencing twitching in his face, problems swallowing, for over a year. His health was declining rapidly, and by fall, he was housebound. When he tried to walk, the entity would attempt to remove his shoes, and when John had seizures, the entity would slap him in the face. So it's not enough that you're already having a seizure, you're just going to get slapped in the face too. Which is kind of a jerk move, but, you know. On December 19th, 1820, John Bell fell into a coma and passed away the following day. Immediately after his death, the family found an unfamiliar vial full of black liquid and gave it to the cat.
The cat?
Yeah, they gave some of it to the cat.
Why
to
the hell would you
figure
give it
out
to the cat?
what it was. I guess they didn't want to try it themselves.
So you give it to the cat?
I feel really bad for this cat because the cat died almost immediately.
Of course it died, John.
Yeah, it was poison.
I hate these people. I'm glad they got cursed. They gave it to the cat.
They gave it to the cat.
I must have zoned out. If I would have heard that during that tour, I would have choked somebody.
Yeah, they said that in the tour.
I must have zoned out.
You must have. The entity then exclaimed, "I gave old Jack," which is what she called him, "a big dose of that last night, which fixed him."
And the cat.
Apparently so. John Jr. threw the vial into the fireplace, and it is said that it burst into a bright blue flame up the chimney.
Really?
Yeah. At John's funeral, which is one of the largest that the county had ever seen, the entity laughed and sang a song about brandy as the people left. It is said that the singing didn't end until the last person was gone.
That's pretty interesting.
So basically, she was taunting him even after he died. After John's death, John's daughter, Betsy, which is the one who is being stuck by pins, was engaged to marry Joshua Gardner. And the Bell Witch wasn't a fan of his, apparently. She kept taunting both Joshua and Betsy and basically telling them not to get married until finally Betsy had enough and broke off the engagement.
Because a witch.
Yeah.
Huh.
So that was interesting. She broke off the engagement Easter Monday of 1821.
Easter Monday. Is that the day after Easter Sunday?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah. In some versions of the story, it's mentioned that John's daughter Betsy and some of her friends had an encounter with the witch in the cave. And so after Betsy broke off her engagement in April 1821, not 1921 or 2021, by the way. The spirit visited John's wife Lucy, promising to return for a visit in 7 years. It returned in 1828 as promised, discussing things like the origin of life, mass spiritual awakening, accurately predicting events such as the Civil War.
I still say the Bells grow a good mushroom. They have to be out there scouring all the cow poop, doing all the mushrooms. They probably do all the mushrooms they find.
After 3 weeks, the entity left, promising to return 100 years later and visit the Bells' nearest descendant in 1935. So that's the date that they were supposed to be visited again. Bell's most direct descendant at that time was Nashville physician Dr. Charles Bailey Bell. In 1934, the year prior to the year that he was supposed to be visited again, he published a book, but he never updated after
That's
that
a
year.
pretty good drive from Nashville, though. I mean, it took us a long time in a car. In a horse and buggy, that had to be a 2-week trip.
Well, I mean, he decided to move, so maybe he didn't like the country life west. He was tired of all those mushrooms.
It's true. He'd probably taken those mushrooms in Nashville and selling them.
That's all hearsay. You hear it and then you say it. Some believe that the Bell Witch retreated to a cave on the Bell property and is located there today, which I guess makes sense.
It's a pretty cool cave.
It is a pretty cool cave, and that would also make sense as to why Betsy and her friends had an encounter with a witch on the cave property. There is an Indian grave that was dug up near the cave and relocated to inside the cave. The remains were stolen
What?
from out of the grave.
Well, that's how you get cursed.
Yeah, that's how you get cursed. Also, it's rumored that if you remove a rock from the Bell property while visiting, bad things will happen to you. They claim that they receive rocks in the mail all the time with apology letters.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, would you like to discuss our experience at the Bell Witch Cave?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting, I think. One thing I thought that they told us on the tour was that the kids were out exploring, and one of the kids found a skull and brought it back to the cabin, and a tooth fell out of the skull.
Underneath the floorboards.
Yeah.
Which I did not find in any of the sources that I found,
Oh, yeah.
which I thought was interesting. So, I don't know.
I
I
thought
feel
she
like
told
that
us
would be-
that,
It wasn't on their website, nor was it on any of the others. But they may be like withholding information so that you still go to the tour.
but
Makes
true.
sense.
It's a pretty nice place. It's in Rolling Hills, out in the middle of nowhere,
Adams, Tennessee.
Adams, Tennessee.
Yeah.
It's,
It was a fun trip. Now, I probably wouldn't go in the middle of the summer like we did because it was hot.
It's really hot.
It was awful.
You
But,
can't go to the original site. The original site in the grave is not on the tour. They've rebuilt a cabin.
Basically, they tore down the original cabin. I'm sure with it leaving hands, I mean, the family only had the original property for so long, and it changed hands as properties do. I'm sure someone eventually was like, I don't like this. We're going to tear this down and build our own home here. But they attempted to rebuild it as close to what it would have looked like as possible. They have artifacts from that, pictures,
It's
as
pretty
many
cool.
things as they could have.
They're really good tour guides, too. They were super nice. They
Yeah.
really knew a lot about it.
You go down there and you go to the house and you experience all of that and they explain all of it. And then you walk down to the cave.
The
Which is
cave's pretty cool.
It was a pretty good little walk.
It's right along the river. There's a little waterfall. And we are not being paid by these people for this review. It would be awesome if we were. But, I mean, this is just what
We're
we're...
legitimately just giving you our own opinions. Which was really interesting because we got in the cave and everything was fine. Now, when this woman tells you you need to duck because your head will hit the rocks, you need to duck because your head will hit the rocks. Because I thought, oh, Wes is taller than me. He's not ducking super, like, a ton. I'm not gonna duck. It's fine. I won't hit. Hit my head twice in the same spot. Pretty sure I got a concussion.
It was
Don't remember walking back to the car.
It's a pretty solid hit.
It was interesting. But,
Inside the cave, I thought it was cool that you actually get to see where the Indian was buried.
yeah, you get to go in, you get to go through both rooms of the cave if you choose. You get to see the Indian grave that was relocated to the inside of the cave, and then you get to see the witch rocks.
That was pretty cool. That back room did kind of have a different vibe to it. I didn't feel anything while we were there, but it really did seem... If I was going to say that's where the witch lives, back there.
Yeah, I definitely... I mean, I can't say that I felt something because I hit my head twice on the way into the second room and, again, likely got a concussion. But it did definitely have a different vibe than the first room, and it was cooler and it had a different feeling for sure. But I definitely feel like you should go if you're given the chance.
Yeah, one thing that really stuck in my mind is while we were sitting there doing the tour, we were checking out the Indian grave, and this little kid walks up and spits in the grave.
Oh, heavens, I forgot about that.
So, if anybody's ever cursed this little kid who visited the Bell Witch Cave, I'm sure we will hear about him in the future. Or maybe
Let's
now.
hope.
Yeah, I mean...
If you're that child or the family of that child and you have been cursed, please email us
Yeah.
at tequilaandterror@gmail.com.
And you know he took rocks, so
God.
surely he's
I'm
double
sure.
cursed.
I mean, he's a little turd kid.
I wanted to curse him, and I'm not even a witch.
You just hate everyone.
I do. But I really like that the Devil Rock in the back. We put a picture up on our Instagram, Tequila and Terror. Is it podcast?
Yes. We are Tequila and Terror Podcast on Instagram.
It's
I'll
pretty
go over
cool.
this again at the end. But
It's, the back room of that is pretty awesome. You can kind of see the river from the entrance, and there's a little waterfall. And they always say that running water kind of draws spirits with the rock and everything. So, I mean, I'm not going to doubt it, but I'm a skeptic. And it was a short tour we were on, so it's not like we got to stay overnight and really check it out.
it's definitely something that's worth checking out if you get the opportunity.
Yeah, the people there know a lot about it. It's their family. I mean,
Yeah.
if you've seen Ghost Adventures, the lady on there that led old Begobots into the cave, she's the one that did our tour.
Yeah, she was definitely very knowledgeable. She knew her stuff, and she's very nice. So, watch the episode, I guess. Listen to us more so than them, though. And go see for yourself, because it was an interesting, even if you don't believe, it was an interesting trip.
I would go back just to get more of a feel for it in the fall.
Yeah.
It's more of a fall time kind of deal.
It says that they stay open spring through October. So I would definitely do like an October-y.
Do not go in July.
No, it was awful. Heat is not my friend, y'all. All right. Well, this has been our second episode.
Yeah, maybe we'll have another one.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Let's try for a third, Wes. Let's try for a third. As always, you can find us at Tequila and Terror Podcast on Instagram, Tequila and Terror Podcast on Facebook, and Tequila and Terror on Twitter. You can also email us at tequilaandterror@gmail.com.
That is a lot of places. You know how much I hate social media, so this is really hurting me.
Oh, it's a good thing that I'm good at social media, huh? I'm a millennial.
Gosh. I guess we're going to have a YouTube eventually.
Yeah, we will attempt a YouTube. We're getting into things, so
Who knows where we go? The sky's the limit.
it's only up from here, buddy.
I mean, no one listens to it and we shut it down after 3 episodes.
No.
I already paid for hosting for a while, so
I was about to say, we're in this.
yeah,
We're in this for a little bit.
at least 6 months, but
We got this, y'all. So, sorry you had to listen to our voices for 6 months, but you have no free will. You have to
can I
listen.
just say bye and randomly end it like the last one?
Nope.
No? Okay, well, you end it.
All right. Thank you guys for listening, and this was Tequila and Terror.
Bye.